You're not lazy, you're burned out from carrying too much alone. Part 1. The lie you've been telling yourself. Somewhere along the way, you started calling yourself lazy. You didn't announce it out loud. You didn't write it down. You just let the thought sit quietly in your head. I should be doing more. I used to be better than this. Why can't I just get up and try harder? And every time you struggled to start, every time your energy disappeared, every time the smallest task felt heavy, that word came back again. Lazy. But what if that word was never true? What if it was just the easiest explanation for something much deeper, something nobody ever taught you how to name? Part 2. Burnout doesn't arrive like you expect. Burnout doesn't show up dramatically. It doesn't kick the door open. It doesn't scream for attention. It arrives quietly. It looks like waking up tired after a full night of sleep. It looks like scrolling your phone, not because you don't care, but because starting feels overwhelming. It looks like knowing exactly what you need to do, and feeling completely unable to begin. Burnout is subtle. It makes you feel guilty for resting. It makes you feel ashamed for slowing down. It makes you feel weak for needing a break. And because it doesn't look like failure, you don't recognize it. You just assume something is wrong with you. Part 3. You didn't lose motivation, you lost capacity. Motivation didn't disappear. Capacity did. Your emotional capacity, your mental capacity, your nervous system's ability to stay on all the time. You can only push a system so hard for so long before it shuts itself down to survive. That's not laziness. That's biology. That's self-preservation. Part 4. How carrying everything alone changes you. When you're the one who always has to be strong, you don't feel safe being weak. When you're the one people rely on, you don't feel allowed to fall apart. When you're the responsible one, the dependable one, the figure it out one, you stop asking for help. Not because you don't need it, but because you learned early that help doesn't always come. So you carry your responsibilities, other people's expectations, your own fears, your unfinished dreams, your disappointments, all by yourself. And you tell yourself you're fine. Until one day, you're not. Part 5. The American burnout no one talks about. In America, burnout hides behind productivity. You're praised for being busy. You're rewarded for pushing through exhaustion. You're admired for handling everything. Rest is treated like a luxury. Slowing down is treated like weakness. Struggling is treated like failure. So when you can't keep up anymore, you don't ask, "What do I need?" You ask, "What's wrong with me?" But nothing is wrong with you. You're responding normally to a system that demands more than it gives back. Part 6. Why you feel guilty when you rest. You were taught, subtly, repeatedly, that your worth comes from what you produce. From how hard you work. From how much you achieve. From how busy you look. So when you rest, your mind doesn't relax. It criticizes. You should be doing something. You're wasting time. Other people are ahead of you. That voice isn't truth. It's conditioning. And it's exhausting. Part 7. The difference between laziness and burnout. Lazy people don't feel anxious about doing nothing. Burned out people do. Lazy people don't hate themselves for resting. Burned out people feel ashamed every time they stop. Lazy people don't lie awake thinking about everything they're not doing. Burned out people can't turn their minds off. If you were lazy, you wouldn't care this much. The fact that you're exhausted because you care is the proof. Part 8. Survival mode looks like stillness. When your nervous system has been overloaded for too long, it doesn't always fight. Sometimes it freezes. You don't feel energized. You don't feel excited. You don't feel inspired. You feel numb, heavy, disconnected. This isn't you giving up. This is your system saying, "I can't keep doing this at this pace." Part 9. Why you feel behind even when you're trying. You compare your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. You see promotions, marriages, vacations, milestones. You don't see their support systems, their financial safety nets, their therapy sessions, their private breakdowns. You don't see how much help they had. So you assume you're behind. But you're not. You're just doing life with fewer buffers. Part 10. You're not weak, you're worn down. Weakness is quitting because something is hard. Burnout is struggling because you've been strong for too long. You didn't give up. You endured. You pushed. You adapted. You survived. And now your body and mind are asking for recovery. Part 11. Healing is not dramatic. Healing doesn't feel like progress. It feels slow, uneventful, almost boring. It looks like doing less, not more. Choosing rest before collapse. letting go of urgency, accepting inconsistency. Healing happens quietly, under the surface. And that's why people think they're stuck when they're actually recovering. Part 12. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need a new personality. You don't need a total reinvention. You don't need to disappear and start over. You need space. You need gentleness. You need fewer expectations. You are not a problem to be fixed. You are a human who needs care. Part 13. The strength you don't recognize. You're still here. After the exhaustion. After the disappointment. After the nights you felt alone with your thoughts. You didn't quit. That matters. Even if nobody sees it. Even if it doesn't feel impressive. Even if you don't give yourself credit. Survival is strength, even when it's quiet. Part 14. A softer way forward. You don't rebuild by forcing yourself. You rebuild by setting boundaries, saying no without guilt, measuring success in peace, not speed, choosing sustainability over intensity. You don't need to rush. You need to heal. Part 15. Rest is not a reward. You don't earn rest by suffering. You don't have to break first to deserve care. Rest is not a reward. It's a requirement. And taking it doesn't mean you failed. It means you listened. Part 16. One day you'll understand this season. One day, this phase will make sense. You'll see that. Burnout taught you boundaries. Exhaustion taught you compassion. Slowing down saved you. You weren't stuck. You were recalibrating. Part 17. If you needed permission, this is it. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to slow down. You're allowed to stop carrying everything alone. You don't need to justify your tiredness. You don't need to explain your pace. You don't need to apologize for being human. Your exhaustion has a story. And it deserves understanding, not judgment. Final words, stay with me here. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are burned out from being strong for too long without support. And the fact that you're still here, still listening, still breathing, still hoping, means there is more life ahead of you than you realize. Take a breath. You don't have to do everything today. You just have to stop believing the lie that you were ever lazy to begin with.